an Elder Scrolls spin-off game. The sort of things I would love to see. Now I will be using Fudgemuppet's videos today to kind of for the background. You don't really even have to watch it. It's just more of listening, I guess. It's something that I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks. The idea of Elder Scrolls spin-offs. Now if this video does get copyright claim because I'm using Fudgemuppet's videos, that copyright claim will go to them. You know, I'm not here to make any money from these opinions. I'm just a dude with an opinion, with a thought, some brain farts cooking around in my head. And I thought I wanted to talk about the sort of things I'd love to see in the future of the Elder Scrolls. Things like spin-off games. Now, also, hopefully that they don't remind me using this, because they're also Australians. I wouldn't even know who the hell I am anyway. So, Elder Scrolls spin-off games. A bit like how Fallout New Vegas was the spin-off from Fallout 4, made by a different company. Same engine, but different group made the game. So, I think Fallout New Vegas is actually the preferred sort of Fallout game in that time, when we have between Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I personally like Fallout 3 because that was my first Bethesda game, and it felt more barren. It felt like, as soon as you walked outside the city gates, it was no man's land all over. Fallout New Vegas felt more civilized. Now, we hear about Elder Scrolls spin-offs. I would love to see someone like Obsidian, and now that they're both also Microsoft alongside with Bethesda, or any other company, to get their hands on the Elder Scrolls IP, and also the engine that makes Elder Scrolls games. And tell a different sort of story. Not one where you jump into the world, and you're a prisoner, and you create your gender, you create your race, you create your story. But one where you play a character in history. More like an action role-playing game, where instead of creating your very own character, you're playing existing characters. It's kind of very much like BioWare games do. You play like Commander Shepard, or you play the Grey Warden, or whatever kind of thing. Those games you get to pick if you're male or female. But maybe an experience where you're playing a Bethesda or an Elder Scrolls game, but it's not exactly your typical Bethesda Elder Scrolls game. You jump into the past and you play Penal Whitestrake, back when Cyrodiil was called Cirid, and the elves ruled over Cirid or Cyrodiil. And you get to play multiple characters, from Morbius the Bull to Saint Alessia before she became a saint, and of course Penal Whitestrake. And you get to play their stories. You get to run around an open Cyrodiil, but maybe covered in a jungle before the Dragon Break, or still the Cyrodiil that we know from Oblivion, but of course freshly updated with today's modern day graphics and all that sort of crap. But go to an entirely different world, one where the Oblivion Crisis is still 1,000 years off, and the world is completely different. Cirid is ruled by the elves, and you play a story of Penal Whitestrake, Saint Alessia, and Morbius the Bull, freeing humanity from their grip. I would love to see a spin-off like that, where you get to play history. You get to play Ysgramor, when he defends his children from the sacking of the Snow Elves in the Night of Tears. And you get to go to Old Mora and see Old Mora in person and convince the Old Morans to follow you back to whatever Skyrim was called at the time and avenge your people from the slaughter of the Snow Elves. But you get to play a certain character and go so far back in time and play their story. But there's some choices between it. Like your history is written, but maybe it wasn't written properly. It's described that Penal Whitestrake was a butcher of elves, that he slaughtered every elf that he could, that he was an absolute murderer of elves. But maybe he wasn't. Maybe the stories written about him exaggerated his kills of the elves. Maybe he didn't kill absolutely every elf. He showed mercy to some, or didn't kill them all. But, the stories wrote that he was a butcher. You get to choose, were their stories true, or were they exaggerated? It's the same thing with his lover. When Penal's lover is killed, he goes into a frenzy and slaughters the elves, right? But it's not described if his lover was a man or a female. It's heavily kind of nodding on to the side that Penal's lover was a need man, that he was gay. So again, as the player, you might not want to be gay, but the thing, it's not really, the character isn't gendered. It's kind of left to interpretation. So if you are gay, you get to play Penal's story where his lover, that was barely written about or not known about, was a man. Or, if you don't like that sort of stuff, you get to play the story of Penal's lover was a woman that was killed by the elves. There's sort of rooms there, like I said, where you get to kind of play the character and choose were they bloodthirsty or were their stories sort of exaggerated, or were their stories written truly. And I would love to see a game like that, where we get to go back into Cyrodiil long before we know about it, when the Imperial City is called something different, and it's controlled by the Heartland Elves, the aliens, and humankind as slaves for sex and work and all that other crap. You know, like, that would be a friggin' awesome experience. Going back in time, playing as Penal Whitestrake, choosing, you know, was his history true about being a bloodthirsty, you know, elven murdering lunatic, or was it over-exaggerated? Or playing as Musgamore, you know, burning down all the snow elven cities, because maybe that's the reason we don't see them in Skyrim. That because you know, the snow elves try to wipe out his people, he made damn well sure he put their people into extinction. That every one of their cities would be ripped to the ground, destroyed. All their history would be burnt. Anything that resembled the snow elves would be eradicated from the Skyrim they took over. You know, I would love to see spin-offs like that, where you get to go back in time and play a certain character or a group of characters in the Elder Scrolls story. You know, you're playing as Penanal. You're not playing as Narindriel, a high elven female that ended up crossing the border into Cyrodiil and got, you know, imprisoned by the Imperials before the head was about to be cut off and Elduin saved him. You're playing existing characters of history. I would love to see that sort of stuff. That, to me, would be awesome for a spin-off game, where Bethesda still makes their open stories where you get to pick your story, pick your past, pick your character, all that sort of free-range sandboxing stuff, but someone else comes in and tells the story of the past and the histories of the characters. If that doesn't really work, I would kind of love to see a TV series based on these sort of characters, you know, rich, powerful characters of the past. But anyway, I've got another idea for another video, and I want to get to that one. It's kind of about a new Game Plus experience in the next Elder Scrolls, or what I think the thread of the next Elder Scrolls is going to be. But I think this one's done. I hope you guys have enjoyed Kind of Agree. Let me know in the comments if you don't, or if you do. You know, what your thoughts could kind of be, what kind of other characters that are rich in history that you'd love to see, because I can only reference two. There's plenty more out there, and you know, let me know what setting, time, hero that kind of is that you'd love to see. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Catch you later. Look after yourselves, and catch you in the next vid.